All right, we are back from our break. So we just finished random topics, or at least we went through a lot of them. If unless you had anything else you wanted to cover, the other things I wanted to go over is like goal setting.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't if you want to jump into that.
Yeah, definitely. We can do that.
Okay.
How would you like to start?
Yeah, so I wanted to go into first just a quick overview of how your life has changed in the last 1 year and the last 5 years, like a TLDR of like how you're thinking about it's changed, and then we'll look forward and like go through both of our goals for the next however many years.
Okay, sick, sick, sick. Okay. So how's my life changed in the past 1 year? I will say the biggest change is probably my day job. Being able to be a project manager at a well-paying tech company is insane. It's really shifted the way that I move about the world.
Like how so?
Honestly, I think one thing is like having that kind of revenue shifts how I engage with a lot of things, like how I plan travel, how I hang out with friends, how I contribute to like nonprofits or charities, or even the dance studio that I'm at. I think it also puts pressure on me to plan better. So historically, I just kind of live paycheck to paycheck. I just money come in, money go out. But now that I have more disposable income, it's putting a pressure on me to figure out how I'm going about using it. And I think that's pushing me to have better financial tracking as well as like spending habits. Am I fully realized yet? No. I still just throw money at random things and then I forget. And so like a month later, I was like, why am I missing $500?
So are you feeling like has your spending caught up to now your new income?
I must say yes and no. I think I think I am paying things off better, and so it feels like
Making progress?
my spending is catching up to my income, but I also remind myself that it's not all going to just expenditures. It's also balancing out with like me paying bills better and paying more of my credit card off and things like that, or like more off education debt.
So you've been paying off more debt, so you are making progress.
Yeah, so I'm making progress, but it doesn't feel like it because my bank account is always like,
Mm.
where's the money?
So maybe you do need to tighten up a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
When do you think you're gonna pull the trigger on that, or are you gonna keep kicking it down, kicking the can down the road? I'm asking as a friend, giving you accountability.
Okay, let's do this. It is August. I will give myself until the end of the year to have a solidified, consistent financial system set up.
What does a solidified, consistent financial system mean?
To me, I think that means that I have clear visibility into the income that's coming in because as of right now, because I have so many different streams of income that are direct deposit, sometimes I forget that money is coming in. And I don't realize until I'm like paying bills that I was like, oh shoot, this is like more money than I thought I had. Or it's like, this is not what I was expecting to see. So I think I want to have more visibility and more control around that. So that's one. Another thing is having a more precise, so I want to make sure that I'm taking into account how much I plan to pay into the different things that I want to pay off. So for example, how much am I putting towards my credit card? How much am I putting towards my education debt? Towards my car? And then I want that to be established a little bit more consistently in my mind. And for that to be more consistent in my mind, I have to be able to see it. So setting up a system that'll help track money that's coming in, money that's going out, where it's going out to, and then adjusting that from there.
So you just need to finally get a financial software then, because it seems
Yes.
like visualizing it in a, project management sort of thing, right? You just need to visualize the stuff coming in and out in the budget.
Yeah. So part of that is definitely that. And then I want to be able to leverage that for future planning because I think in the past when I've done financial tracking, it's just tracking. So it'll give me an assessment of what I've spent and where I'm at, but it won't help me project into the future. And I do know I have difficulty working with financial apps because I've tried out a couple of different ones, some with that functionality and some without. And I always get a little stuck when it comes to planning. So something I want to do as part of this financial goal is put more time into researching how these platforms or these softwares can help plan and how I can become better adept at it so I can leverage that feature to my benefit.
What is planning exactly? Like, what do you mean by
So
financial planning?
so for example, like budgeting would be one thing, right? So on a weekly or monthly basis to understand like this is how much money I've set aside for, let's say, eating out. So if I already know that I have like a birthday party coming up, I have like a family outing, I have a reunion with an old friend, whatever, I'm already planning to budget around that. I think that is a win relative to where I'm at now.
So then, as long as your financial software has a budgeting function, then you should be good, right?
Yes and no. So that's why I was saying like historically I've had a finance software that has that feature and I'll try to use it, but I don't ever fully understand how to go about it with consideration to where I'm at now. So for example, I think you need a budget was one that I was trying out and it allows for me to say like this is where all of my like financial status is at, like how much I have in each account, how much I owe. And then these are my paychecks, so I need to attribute my paychecks to the different buckets. And I was like, wait, I don't understand that because how am I doing this if I'm talking about a paycheck that I received like last week and part of it already went to pay off something. And so I was like, okay, let's mark that. But then it was deducting in that from like the total that I was putting in or something like I don't know. That's why I was just like, I don't fully understand. And I think it's mostly not because of the software, but because of my own investment in the software. So in
Because of your
selecting
own investment software? Like, what do you mean?
like my own understanding of the software. I think I need to invest
Understanding.
more time in like understanding how the software works, like the logic behind it, so that I can better use it to my benefit.
Interesting. Huh. Maybe once you get something, I would like to look in to see what you're doing. Maybe I can help out because,
Ooh, that would be sick.
yeah, because I'm trying to understand how that manifests. To me, obviously, maybe my finances, how mine setup is a lot different. But how I've done in the past is like a good software will show you what you're pretty much getting every month, right? Like it looks like on average, you can see your income is X amount per month, right?
Mhm.
And then if you're consistent with your spending, you can see that, okay, I tend to spend about this much per month, and then I have this much difference. It also shows you what your, well, credit card debts or bill payments aside, it should be able to tell you in that total, like income versus expenses, right? And
Mhm.
then from there, you can see like, it seems like you're averaging every month this much percentage in the pie chart of like food and this much into entertainment, this much into travel or whatever. And then from there, you can be like, okay, it seems like I'm spending, let's say, $500 a month on food. Then you can budget it. Okay, let me tighten that up a bit. Or, okay, I can open it up and spend more on food. I imagine that's how I would use it. But I don't maybe I'm not understanding how it would be more complicated than just like knowing what the average is each month. But you're saying
Mhm.
future planning and how to differentiate between like what's going in and what's coming out.
Yeah, I think the way that I had approached You Need a Budget was that I wasn't going about it in averages. I was tracking actuals through it. And so I think it was like I was at that weird place between like money came in and then money went out. And so I was trying to use the planning portion of it for the part of the month that we had already passed.
You're planning for the past.
I think that's like the best way to describe how I went about this in the wrong way.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
maybe we
saying
need to go ahead.
oh sorry.
Go ahead.
It was saying like my income would be consistent, but like that was also the other thing. My income's not consistent. And so it fluctuates based on like for example how many hours I put in at the cafe or how many hours I log at the nonprofit, which varies on a week to week basis. And so when the program was saying that, oh, you get this amount a month, therefore you have that much to spend, and I would like try to allocate it to the different buckets.
Oh, I see. So you're trying to calculate based on what it's telling you is coming in.
Yeah. And then I was like also trying to fight it because I was like, I also know that's not the correct number. Because this month, like last month, I received a different number than this month. And I was like trying to make adjustments for that. And I think at one point I was like, I need to sit down and like go through this a little bit in more detail. And then my
Yeah,
trial expired. So I was like, never mind. I just won't.
interesting. Okay. I feel like I have a better idea now. But yeah, I think you are doing it in like the reverse because I would recommend, and maybe this is hard to conceptualize for us or even for people listening, I would separate it first and just look at your expenses per month and then categorize all of those. At least when you have 2 to 3 months worth of expenses, you can see what you're averaging for entertainment, food, travel, whatever, right? And then from there, regardless of how much you're making, you can see like, okay, I'm spending, let's say, $2,000 a month, and I think I can shrink these things and budget it so that I'm a little bit tighter to get it down to $1,500 per month, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that's how you would approach it because then now you have more of a difference. But now that even if you have a high paying, consistent, like 9 to 5 sort of job, what I would recommend is budgeting based on just that income, and everything else is just extra money that you can throw into savings or debt and not worry about that extra fluctuating income, and just
Mhm.
basing your current expenses and lifestyle off of your full-time work,
That
if that makes
makes a
sense.
lot of sense. So maybe
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah. And then not trying to budget last month based on things that you aren't sure you're actually getting, because I feel like
Mhm.
that's complicated as opposed to just being like, this is what I actually spend and here's how I budget. I tighten things up, right?
Yeah.
And not worrying about like because now you should ideally have a surplus of income so you don't have to worry about paycheck to paycheck. But now you can actually go in and like, all right, I know I have a surplus, but now let's try to figure out this expense thing because I think that's the hole in the bucket you might come across, right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so we're
I'm
sidetracked,
just
but yeah,
curious.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will say my financial situation has improved in the past year. Looking to improve it even more. Other things is I'm back into dance and I'm committing a lot into dance again, so I feel like my physical health is moving in a better direction as well. I have built like new relationships, like for example through joining the dance team in the dance studio, that I think are valuable relationships I am committing to. So that has also improved. And as I have transitioned into this higher paying job, I feel like I've been given a lot of new challenges as well that really have pushed me to develop my PM experience in different ways than when my last job did. I think my last job was very like, whatever you think is good, dude. Like, sure, we'll do it, I guess. We'll try. We don't care. Whatever. But this one, they're very directed in saying, like, no, as a PM, we need you to do this. We need you to step in these ways, and we need you to back up in these ways. And I was like, wow, that's like really directed. And because of that, I think it's giving me a lot of different experience as a PM. Yeah, I think that's my past year change. Can't think of much else.
Nice.
Yeah. And then for the last 5 years, I think a lot has changed. Definitely health has improved a lot because I think 5 years ago in pandemic era was when I was at the worst health condition. I was not exercising. I was not going out. I was staying only in my room, only playing games. So I think that was like the most sleep I've ever had in my life. But other than that, everything else was very unregulated. I had no job. I had no motivation to do things outside of just my regular routine of wake up, eat, play games, eat, go back to bed. So I feel like it's been a huge shift from that. Also, I have a lot of cool, tight new relationships that I think are feeding me in different ways and pushing me to develop more as both like an individual but also a member of a community.
Hmm.
Huge jump from 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess we can expect that from like a 5 year change.
Especially coming from a global pandemic shutdown.
Yeah. Yeah, a year ago, well, it was summer still. Yeah, I guess I was dancing. I mean, right now we're on break, so it's the same thing. We were just finishing up strawberry era. So, yeah, I mean, it was exciting. I was my second year on leadership finished. I think that's the biggest thing, honestly. And then I was preparing for this podcast, like launching it in the summer and then kind of recording in August and then like releasing it in October. So it's been a year and that's been exciting. So this episode number 50 under my belt. So it's been fun to have this project come to fruition and manifest. Yeah, so excited. I think it was always like, let me see if I can do this for one season, 10 episodes. And then at the end of that, I was like, wow, I could do this for 10 years. It's like, it was a green light. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I've been working out consistently. Everything else has been pretty consistent. Last 5 years, yeah, pandemic. I think, yeah, Blessing and I were just like starting our social media type stuff, but it didn't really take off until 2021. So I think at this time, 5 years ago, we were just kind of like starting YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. Yeah, it definitely was not as healthy either, but like we're all stuck. Like, I was trying to work out and meal prep and everything, but it definitely didn't work. I think staying indoors is not healthy for anyone. And then I realized, and like, yeah, my health metrics weren't even that good. Like when I got my blood work back, I'm like, why is everything so bad? I was trying to walk more, but now, yeah, fast forward 5 years, it's a lot better. So yeah,
Hey, we love
yeah,
growth.
I know. I mean, yeah, we're on an upward trajectory is always a good sign, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how about goals for the next 5, 10, 20 years? We can also sum it up too, or like
Ooh.
TLDR, but do you have any big aspirational goals for the next those few years intervals? Yes, I have a ton.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Aside from the health ones that we've talked about, the finance ones that we've talked about, the relationship one that we've talked about. Yeah, I think one of the goals that I have for myself is to continually challenge myself for growth and to keep an open mind.
Open-minded.
I've read a number of researches that talk about how as we age, our mind becomes more rigid, we become more settled in our ways. And so I would like to challenge myself to try to promote as much elasticity in my thinking as possible. Part of that is like having some sort of engagement with younger folks, right? And being open-minded to different perspectives and opinions or even trends, to be honest. I think different trends have been a challenge for me because as I get older, I'll see it and it's like, damn, these are like really dumb trends. Like I don't relate, like I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But I have to remind myself that that thinking is what leads to rigidity, and so constantly trying to be accountable to myself and remind myself of like, what is my goal? What is the purpose of doing this? And to me, it's so that I can continue to be a part of a community and be able to help shape like conversations based on the community needs, right? Like the last thing I would want is to get to a place where I say like, well, these young whippersnappers don't know what's up. Like, they should just listen to me and then be completely disconnected to the immediate needs of the community at that given time.
Yeah. That's kind of why as you get older, the more conservative you get, right? Like it's always like politically, socially, stuff like that. It's like why is it all mostly old people who are the conservatives who have those sort of perspectives and liberals tend to be younger? But and maybe we talked about this before too, but it's a physiological thing where our brains get more settled into how we think, and we've seen the plus side is we see patterns, we're pattern recognition, we can connect the dots better, but the downside of that is that we're less flexible and open-minded to certain things. And
Mhm.
so as you get older, just exactly like you're saying, we have to make more of an effort to stay open-minded because it's so easy to get older and then start to be like a Republican, for example. But
Yeah.
regardless of political parties, right? It's the rigidity and the mindset of I know better. I've been around the block. Like, yeah, sure, you're not wrong, but also the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. And if you're always just kind of in that, you're not really growing. You're stunting your growth. So it's like if you're green, you're growing. If you're red, you're rotting or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's one. And then for career goals over the next 5 years, I'd really like to see myself expand in my capacity and diversify in my skill set. So as a PM, I know we touch a lot of different projects and we run things in a lot of different ways, but I really hope that this next 5 years at least, if not more, really challenges me to look at different projects with different perspectives so that I can provide new value rather than like rebuilding the wheel with each project that I come across.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think because of like the diversity of the projects that I work on and like the different people that I engage with, I really hope this also is an opportunity for me to continue to find ways to better understand people with. And so that's a skill set that I'd like to develop over the next few years, is to be able to assess where folks are coming from when they work with me or when they just engage with me in general, right? Because this skill set will expand beyond work, is to now be able to like receive the input of an individual and then respond in a catered way for that specific person. I
Nice.
think other things is, I have been working with the dance studio a lot on reshaping a number of their internal procedures and processes. So I would say by the 5 year mark, I would love everything to be polished and super shiny with in-depth documentation so that everything can just operate without me touching anything. And I think that would be a solid place for me to be able to take a step back and just view the studio as a studio and know that things are going to go well because we work together to build them to go well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd also like to move out
Hmm.
with my family right now, and I think it'd be nice to be able to get to a place where I feel like I can financially spread my legs a little bit, set up my own space that's set aside for myself.
What's the projection for that timeline?
And I mean, when I moved home in 2020 because of the pandemic, I told myself 2 years is like max. I was like, at the 2 year mark, I'm out no matter what. 5 years later, I'm still here.
Mm.
So I
Comfortable.
think this goal setting is adaptable, but I think there also needs to be an intention for it. I think as I strengthen my finance and this goal will likely solidify more because a lot of the rationale around the current rationale around not doing so is I want to get a better hold of my finances before doing so.
Okay, so order of operations. You want it whenever the finance thing becomes important, then you might have the capacity to move out.
Yes.
Makes
Exactly.
sense.
PEMDAS. And I think like my 20, oh man, it's so weird to think about things past like 2 years. 20
Yeah.
year goal? How old are we? I think my long-term goal is by the end of, let's say, the 20 years, is I want to be able to open a community space that does like local vendors, community events, being able to allow folks to just exist and connect with each other. I know I've talked to you about this before. It's like, having a space for folks to play board games together or Dungeons and Dragons if that's their vibe, but it's also like almost like a cafe space where like if folks want to work remote, like they can work their remote, and then there will be a stage so that like at night if we want to do like an open mic or have some sort of performances, we can still host those through this space. And I think that's my long-term goal is to be able to have that space and create that space and allow the community to really come together.
Nice. So you think that's possible? And you said 20.
Honestly, it's so hard for me to like
Yeah.
plan past like 1 year. That
Yeah, go
20
from A
years
to C.
seems like forever, but I also want to be cautious and not like overcommit myself to what could potentially be tight timeline.
So you think 20 years is a tight timeline?
I think 20 years might be too much, but at the same time, I feel like it might be not enough. I
Oh,
have
okay, so you're a horoscope now. It's too much, but also not enough.
exactly, exactly. No, man. I think I talked to my therapist about this, but growing up with like this sense of dying young, I don't really have a well-adept tool for long-term planning or even short-term planning, right?
So planning.
Yeah, planning in general, like I'm a horoscope, right? Short-term and long-term.
Yeah. I can see why the money part is a tough thing to get used
Yeah,
to or to improve.
yeah, because like even at I think it was 18, I was like, yeah, no, this is the year I'm dying. And then I didn't. And then I was like, oh, well,
Now what do
maybe,
I do?
yeah, exactly. And I was like, maybe I'll die at 21. And then I didn't. And I was like, okay, so maybe 25.
Hmm.
And then I didn't. And I was like, okay, maybe 30. And I didn't. And I was like, God, like, I just keep waiting for the shoe to
Yeah.
drop and it hasn't dropped. And so now I'm kind of at a point in life where I was like, I just need to plan as if it's not gonna drop. But I
Mm.
don't know how because for the past 30 years,
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it to drop.
You've been
So,
planning for not having to plan for so long. And now you're
exactly.
like, okay, maybe I should start planning to plan.
Yes, exactly that. And I don't
Interesting.
know how to go about it.
Okay. So maybe this topic is your Achilles heel.
It definitely is. Definitely is. It's both my heels.
Nice. Well, I guess I'm that's where we differ is because all I do is long-term planning. I'm like a long-term sort of guy.
I
So
know.
I always think long-term.
You're the goal, man. You're the goal. What are your
Maybe,
5, 10,
maybe.
20s?
So yeah, I don't have them necessarily in like, year increments. I don't personally believe in like, okay, here's the timeline and I hit these milestones at these dates. Like, I'm not chasing a date, but I am chasing like like visualizing certain outcomes. So I wrote a list. Well, socially, I want to host more things. So again, these are just general goals, right? I know if I'm marching towards them, whatever the years are, if it takes 5, 10, or 20 years, it's fine. Hosting things. So I think once I have my own place, it would be nice to host like movie nights, game nights, dinners, karaoke, wine nights, stuff like that, get-togethers. Bible studies, like, if I have my own like Bible study small group. Fitness wise, yeah, I know that long term I want to get into yoga and or Tai Chi as like internal sort of like health, not martial art, but an internal sort of thing. Because I know that people who live to like 100, they do those things, right? So I'm like, okay, there's obviously something there. We all know that it's good for your health. Endurance sports. So I know people, as we get older, people ask you to run marathons. We talked about this in my recording with my Cobb Modern class. But I
Yeah.
know that I would enjoy endurance sports. I just haven't had the timing hasn't been right. But I know once I stop dancing, I'm going to be like an endurance athlete or like even just running, maybe not like swimming and biking and stuff like that. But I definitely want to get into endurance sports. I feel like my mind and body's built for more endurance rather than just like power and speed.
Mhm.
More charity work consistently. Like maybe I'll get more involved in my church. I think that would be nice. Maybe like working with the unhoused or like kids or something. Art. This is more interesting because I've been thinking about this more recently. I for sure know I want to get into producing film. I don't know if it's long or short, but like we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
where my vision or aspiration is to do like Adam Sandler-esque sort of comedy with a lot of heart, right? Like dumb humor, whatever my humor is, but and maybe like straightforward acting, nothing crazy, nothing award winning, but it kind of like just like lighthearted and fun, but it underneath the surface of that is a really deep message that like really gets to the core of humanity and like those things that really touch you, like family or love or dreams or aspirations, stuff like that, right? So it's coated in stupid humor and and bad acting, but on the inside is like, wow, actually, why does this movie make me feel a certain way? Like that would be so much fun. So maybe I start small and then work my way up with like bigger films. That and music. I think music has always been a thing that I wanted to get into, never had an avenue and opportunity. But if I become, I don't know, write music or become like a do rapping or like music producing or something that would allow me to tour at least the country with music, maybe in a group or something, but maybe not by myself because it's not my forte. Same with the film thing is like, I think I would want to be a writer, not necessarily. I don't necessarily need to be the director or maybe one of the producers, but yeah. And then same thing with stand-up comedy. To get good enough at stand-up comedy that I can just tour the country. Maybe if I meet people and they want me to go on tour internationally, but I think if I can just get to the level where I'm funny enough to like tour at like college campuses or places like in the States where it's like, okay, that level, I'm like, I'd be fine with that. I don't need the money. I'm just doing it for the vibes of traveling.
Mhm.
And then some other stuff like bowling. I want to get into a bowling league, bowl a 300, get into archery, and then freestyle popping again. Do that more regularly. Maybe join like a popping crew.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are like my main sort of. So like if it takes 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But as long as I'm doing those things, I think that's what I want to do. Is just getting in. It's just like how I'm doing podcasting. Like I'm doing it, and if I commit to 10 years, I know I'll be fine. If I do these things and start as soon as possible, I think I'll be fine.
I'm gonna be a leech and actually just take most of what you just said as
But
my
thanks.
um,
But how can you do it when you have all these other things you're doing?
I don't know. Same
You're
question
too
for
busy,
you.
man.
I don't know.
No, I can commit and do some of these things. I'm not overbooking myself. See, that's the difference. Is see, Aiden, I
Um,
would ask you to do some of this stuff with me, but you are not free, so you can't do this with me.
okay, let me just quit some more jobs real quick.
You actually have to offload your jobs, and you have to not keep committing to other things. And then maybe I'll be like, hey, you're finally free. Do you want to do some of these projects with me? Because I'm not gonna ask you if you're not free.
It's real. Yeah, because I, very similar to you, I have a ton of board games, so I've been wanting to host like monthly board game nights where we play different board games each time. And some of these board games are quite intense and require like a significant amount of prep time. And so I would love to find committed folks who are like, no, I would love to read through this rule book with you.
If you set up a secret Hitler night, I'm all in because I've spent 5 hours playing that with groups of people.
I have a love-hate relationship with Secret Hitler just because it is such a fascinating game to play. But the last
Yeah.
time I played it, I think two people left like cursing me out, and I was like, "Oh,
There you go. Then you just weed those people out until you get only the survival of the fittest.
jeez." Um, Yeah, there's that. And then also I have the like speaker and mics, so I was hoping to do monthly like karaoke night. Like it'd be cute if we did a theme tonight where you can only sing songs within theme, you know? I think that'll really challenge people. One of the themes that I had brought up to some of my singer friends was we should do a night where you sing karaoke, but you can only sing songs given to you by other people. And I was like,
We've
oh,
done that
like
before.
that, yeah, that would be so fun, you know, like to really be able to like lead into things that you don't normally do, but other people think that you would sound great on. Man,
What's stopping you
archery is
from doing that now? You have the space to host those things. That's the thing for me is like, I don't have a space to host.
Mhm.
But yeah,
For
I mean,
me,
you've
it's
hosted gatherings before, so
yeah, for me it's the time and like
it's the time because you're
thanks.
committed to so many things.
Yeah. No, also it's because like anytime I sit down to start inviting folks to stuff, everyone's like, "No, I'm busy," and I was like, "Never mind then, forget it." But I think I need to just commit. I just need to do it. Whoever shows, shows.
I feel like for those things, if you consistently have like a like once a month sort of gathering, and people are like, oh yeah, they'll start to block it off. It's part of their monthly routine now. I think there needs to be some momentum built.
Yeah, and I think part of the thing that makes it hard for me with the mo like building momentum around these things is I live so much further south than a lot of my friends. Like everyone is like up in like LA proper. And so
Mm,
anytime I say, "Oh, I can host," everyone's like, "Oh, but you live so far and like it takes
mm.
so long to get there." And I was like, "Okay, well,
Yeah.
you host then." And they're like, "No."
But then see if the time investment is worth it, meaning like it's not just a 30-minute hangout, right? But if it's like okay, it's like an all night sort of 6 hour thing or whatever, I feel like that's worth it because you have the space to do it. I think it's just finding the right people who are available and want to do the same fun things, right?
Yeah, maybe if I sit down and project plan it out.
Get a board and then have these certain activities and plan it out and move it across.
I I would love to Jira all of these things.
Wait, but see, you are the COO type, so why don't you just execute on it?
I could just do it.
So you need someone to tell you what to do or to do it.
I think this is like where I kind of get caught in the in between being like the C-suite exec and being the executive assistant, is sometimes I just want to be told what to do.
All right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, so you need to be told to do it.
I don't need to, like, well, actually, that's not true. I do need to, but sometimes the need can be self-fulfilled. Like I can just tell myself to do it and I'll do it. But I think that is significantly harder because the only person I'm accountable to is myself in that situation versus if someone
So the
else.
accountability is not there, so it's harder for you.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
not impossible, just harder.
More difficult, yeah.
Yeah. And like also I wanted to do archery for forever. I've started, but I don't get in enough practice or I don't know where I can go to get more practice. It was a lot easier when I lived in Korea because of the archery
Right.
cafe.
Yeah. I was looking it up. There is like an archery range that's like open to the public that's in OC somewhere. I forgot. Somewhere in between us two. But
Yeah.
I was just kind of in the research, like, oh, what's available? Because I don't even know. Because I listened to a podcast recently about this Olympic level archer, and it was like getting into the technical details. I was like, oh, let me just see what's available to me. So I was like, oh, there is one or two ranges in our area, so I know it's feasible. But I'll get back to it when I'm at that time.
Yeah, there was one I found where it's like you had to book it out or something and it's attached to a store where you can buy archery equipment. But I was like, let me go check out the venue first. And so I actually paid for like a training class just so I can
Oh,
be there and start shooting.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, so they have like a separate range for like teaching and then a separate range for like people who are practicing.
I think I went to a similar place. Maybe it's the same place you're talking about, like twice, like to do like a beginner's class. But then there's another range where it's like people can come in and it's attached to a store that has
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
bunch of different stuff.
Yeah. And then also I've been wanting to ice skate. I like taught myself enough to go in circles
Mm,
like at an ice skating rink.
yeah.
But am I the best at stopping? Absolutely not.
You're like, I can go. I don't need to stop.
Yeah, exactly. I either let like friction stop me or I body slam the wall. And I was like, these both are viable options to stop, just not the nice looking one.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, man. I have so much to do.
Oh, I guess I didn't go into financial goals or
Mhm.
career goals because those are all just like life purposes and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, my financial goal has always been 8 figures exactly. I'm looking at my little vision board that says like $10 million in the bank. So that's always been my goal. If I get 8 figures, I'll be set. I don't need more money than that. Everything else will go to charity, not my kids. They can figure it out themselves. Having a family obviously is there too. But I think it'd be nice to have that money and then I could just do whatever else I want, maybe invest. I think I need to be like an angel investor in order to get to that level. But I need to start first by starting my own companies and running them, maybe selling them, and then getting into consulting and angel investing and stuff like that. And then, yeah, other things like that. I definitely, my main career goal objective is to be like an author, speaker, coach, and then all my other businesses will be kind of focused on that, right? Like education, like media branding, like what I'm trying to do with this podcast, consulting, and then that would lead into investing, which is the next tier of like making money. So that'd be fun. And then I think, see, yeah, finances, yeah, that's pretty much it. 8 figures, have that like basically be an author and speaker would be super fun. And then continue like learning and growing and sharing what I've learned as a teacher here.
Mhm.
Eventually becoming a professor at an actual university or multiple or whatever would be nice too. But that's like fourth career down the line. Definitely want like several businesses. I think the cafe, like we've talked about, would be like my third or fourth business as well. First two would be like money making. The third one, like the cafe, would be break even at most.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's definitely feasible in the next 10 years, especially like at my current pace, and then making different breakthroughs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal some of those too. Thank you.
Good luck.
No, I one of the things I had told my parents before because they insisted that I get my PhD was that I want to work first. I want to get experience in the field and enjoy making money. And then when I'm done with everything, and I was like, you know what? Let's go back to school. Then I'll get my PhD and then I'll teach at a university level. And that'll be like the career that I end on because I don't like at that point, if I have my PhD, it's really only like research work or teaching.
Hmm.
So I don't want to lock myself into that until I'm like ready to commit to just that.
Yeah.
And then I'll run with that until I retire.
Same. I never wanted to be a professor that just teaches on studies and academics. I'd want to be a professor that teaches from experience.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, I have a PhD, but I also have created success myself and not research success. And so therefore I'd want to teach that way. And there are more practical ways to make a living off of that. And then it's like once you've already made it and you've achieved those goals, then you can teach on that. I feel like there's more ground to stand on in
Yeah.
that circumstance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's like a lot of value, especially as like for you and me as PMs in taking our knowledge as PMs and our practices as PMs into a teaching space. I think there's been times when I felt like the lessons were slogs because it's like so much work to get through, but at the same time, there's like no pragmatic approach to how this was designed for it to be a conducive learning experience. And so I
Yeah.
would want to leverage my experience as a PM working in different industries with different folks on different projects and use that to now have more nuance and more insight into how I, for example, would develop a lesson plan.
Yeah, definitely. More practical application and approach to it.
Mhm.
You know, it would be so okay. So one of my, I was gonna save this for off camera, but one of the big projects that I do have, and this is like a business money making thing, is like as I want to create like an educational course system sort of thing that combines my knowledge and expertise in building high performing teams with the relationship building coaching side of what I love doing and creating something that's like high performing, developing high performing teams through like relationships. And so there's like a kind of Venn diagram intersection of that, and then having like an educational course through that, and that leads into consulting and everything. But there's a lot of different resources, especially with AI out there, that I'm like, wow, this actually, the planning and creation of this is a lot more feasible than I thought, especially from 2 to 5 years ago. And so I kind of, in the next 1 to 2 years, I just need to find a few key people, like someone to help me to design and create the course, like the actual designing of the course, and also the infrastructure, like how to deliver the course, and then like the business side of that. But that's all I really need since I have the expertise and the ability to direct and guide and outsource those things. So that's coming down the pipeline. Maybe I just wanted to say it so that it'll be now I'm committing to it. But yeah, I think that's one of my business ideas that will hopefully take money off the table so that I can now focus on some other things. But I also want to do it because it's something I'm passionate about. It's two of the things that I'm both skilled in and enjoy doing. So
Mhm.
that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'll also add one of my goals is to be able to see you work with a team, just because I feel like every time you talk about how you PM, it vastly differs from how I feel when I PM. And so I would love to see like a PM at work. Like even through training, a lot of our training is like hypotheticals. And I feel like hypotheticals or like conditional situations are always so hard for me to learn from because it's like, well, this only applies under these specific
Mm,
circumstances. So I would like to see in the field your adaptability and your mindset in approaching a live set of people who have a very real thing they need to work on together.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do have a lot of different contexts from like larger companies, smaller companies, large teams, big teams, multiple teams, singular teams. And I think especially in those interviews, I haven't had one in a while, but it's always fun to like pull out the skills, like the knowledge, but also like the practical experience and like marrying that. And then I don't know. I always like interviews because I get to show off how much I know. But we also have like there's what 7, 8 years of difference of experiences that you and I have obviously doing this role of like PM or I guess like in an official capacity, right? So yeah, like, and it's crazy because these lessons learned don't even come until like 1 to 2 years with a team. And so I have to like look back holistically at how I've approached these small, like little challenges that you don't even get to improve or just, you can't even improve until like 3 months in with the team. And so the real value comes from having been like a project manager or scrum master for like 6, 7, 8 years. And then you're like, oh, okay, now that I've worked in these different contexts, I can see how we can connect the dots and see those patterns. So yeah, I'm grateful to have had those experiences and now I can pull from that. And I think that's why I want to like create this sort of platform. But yeah, maybe once I launch this course or this like sort of educational platform, then you can see that. I don't know if you'd ever see me work with the team directly unless I go into consulting, and then you also go into consulting, and then you can like shadow or something, but we'll see. I think that'd be fun.
Me just shows up at your job, and just stands right behind you. Continue, please.
Yeah. Or unless like I have a consulting company and then like you also I hire you as also one, but then we kind of had to like you have to learn a style or we kind of create our own style and you adapt to it, then I think that would be a situation where you would be able to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. What is something that you've been pondering deeply or frequently recently, I guess?
There are a couple different things. So one is, what is my ego preventing me from doing and or learning? I think, for example, in working at the cafe or the coffee house, most of the time I will be much older than folks who are working there. And so sometimes I catch myself feeling some level of superiority. I'm older, I'm more educated, I have more work experience, and because of all of these things, obviously I'm going to work at a higher efficiency rate. And so people will look to me and say things like, "Oh my God, you do so well. Oh my God, you learn so much," et cetera, et cetera. And for me, it's like, well, yeah, obviously. But I also want to humble myself, and I need to remind myself on occasion when like people at the coffee house and I don't necessarily click, is it because of them or because of me? And I think my first thoughts were always like, well, it's because they're young, because they don't get it, because they don't know. Like, I'm such a resource. They really should tap into that and, be able to benefit off of that because I'm giving it for free. But then I also have to remind myself that that may not be what people want or where people are at. And for me to expect that or to want that is me speaking from my own ego and assessing myself in a way in which I'm valuing what I contribute to the team more than them. And just because they're contributing differently doesn't necessarily mean that they're contributing less. And so I have had to try to find ways of checking myself for letting my ego run wild or like run rampant a little bit. And now I'm wondering like where are areas of my life in which I'm practicing this behavior and it's preventing me from doing more or being more impactful. That's one. Another one is really learning how to use what I know in like the positions of leadership. So as I said before, I am now captain for our dance team, but I'm still trying to figure out my footing here because folks are here to dance, but at the same time, they don't want to deal with the admin. But when I push the admin because it's what gets us to be able to do what we want to do, there's a way to finesse it and go about it. And I think that's something I'm still exploring. So I'm constantly trying to think on and figure out what are different ways in which I can take what I know and what I can do to meet the needs of the team in a way that the team can receive it as such. Like, for example, I've definitely gotten feedback that like I can speak too harshly to some folks or that I am expecting too much. I think those are spaces for me to really reconsider how am I going about this? What is the intention? What is the purpose? And if that intention is not being felt, how can I adjust to make sure it is? So if I'm saying I'm doing this for the team, but someone on the team is saying I don't like it, then is it really for the team? And I think that's like the balance I'm trying to strike because you also can't please everybody. So, what's like the nice medium of like, I'm doing my best to meet the needs of the team, but at the same time, I'm putting it in a way that is receivable by most of the team and is still honest to who I am.
It makes sense. I mean, you can't please everyone, right? But I think there probably is a most ideal balance or medium between those two
Mhm.
that I feel like maybe just takes some exploring and constant iterating and feedback to get to that point.
Yeah. And I think that's hard because I have taken some practices from you in a lot of our discussions and trying to get feedback from folks by like setting up retros and having like open conversation with folks. But sometimes folks just don't want to give feedback. They're like, I have nothing to say. And I was like, okay, cool. And then like still trying to find a way to learn and grow through that. And I think
Like
that kind of
growing
like,
from lack of feedback.
yeah, like how can I find ways to still do better without people telling me what I'm doing well and what I'm not doing well. And I was gonna say, I feel like this also segues to the other question I have when it comes to work is like, how do I know what I don't know? Because I've had conversations with my manager before where he'll say, well, as a PM, you should go about it this way. And my response was, oh, I had never considered that as an option or like, or as something that could be done. So that's why I've never did it because I didn't know. And I want to try to get ahead of that as much as possible. I want to be as open minded as I can to think outside the box, to really problem solve creatively. And I don't know how to work on that skill or like develop that skill. And so that's also something else I've been thinking on.
Nice.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, or lots that you're currently thinking about.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the main thing I've been thinking about a lot, and I was talking to a friend about this recently that, I mentioned I'm going on a bunch of walks. So, like, I'll go to the park and walk like 2 hours straight or 2.5 hours cumulatively for the day to get my 15,000 steps or whatever. So I have a lot of time to think, and I'm listening to this book called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And it is a great book, but it is super dense. I don't know, have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's actually on my TBR,
Well, your TBR? What is that?
TBR to be read
To be
list.
read. Okay, yeah. So it's good. It's just super dense that like there's 101 chapters and each chapter has like 20 points. And each point is fairly good, but it's a point that it's like this one chapter could have been a book. And so no narrative, no story, and it's like drinking from a fire hose of information, like a semester class condensed into 2 days. And so and so it's and so each time I have to stop mid chapter and just think about and digest it because like it's okay, that was very profound and thoughtful, but now I can't finish the book and I can't progress because I have to think about the stupid point that it made. So it's a good problem to have, and I'm just trying to get through it and get to my next fiction book. But so I've been thinking a lot, and now that I've been on these long walks and I'm thinking a bunch, and it's nice to be by myself and being a hermit these last few months, like I've been saying. And now it's just to get that clarity, and I've lessening my social media use because I know that's not what I want to do, and it much happier being less on social media. And so I set that all up now. So it's a long walk. But now this is the thing that I've been thinking about was I have this desire and I feel like this lack of being surrounded by people who inspire me to be better and make me want to chase them. We've talked about this before, right?
Yeah.
And so like Obviously I'm grateful to have a lot of friends and we're at different life stages, some that are older than me, some that are younger, and I have people who I look up to, right? But the people who I hang out with the most by volume aren't necessarily that person who's like the one in a million, like want to chase them. And I find myself feeling like, this isn't me trying to say I'm better than anyone else, but I feel like I'm always consistent and on the grind and have my habits and I'm making progress. And then I look around and I'm like, why is no one else doing what I'm doing? Like, why is no one focusing on their career, their finances, their health, their spirituality, their projects, and trying to become better and do all these things? And, I have like a podcast, a blog. So I'm trying to do these things that I want to do. But I look around, it's like everyone's just doing things for fun, or they're checking in at work, or they're not really progressing. And it's not to say I don't know those people, but I don't really hang out with the people who I'm talking about often. And so I have this like rooted desire to want to have my high volume friends be the ones that also are people who I'm chasing and who we keep each other accountable, because I don't have those people who keep me. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I keep myself accountable, but it would be nice to, like, that sort of gym bros who go to the gym and they push each other, and that's how you go further and farther. But have that not only in the gym but in life or in career and projects and other stuff like that. And it seems like in most of the circles I'm usually mentoring other people, and I'm fortunate to be in a place where I develop myself that I can do that. But it would be nice to not always be the one trying to mentor or being in that position, but also being mentored by someone.
Yeah.
So this podcast was half of the reason why, was to find those people and to surround myself with those people. But also, like, I think once I get out of this last stage of my life and not dancing as much and going into the next phase, I can start to find those communities where I can find those people who are more driven and motivated and ambitious. And hopefully that'll help take me to the next level. But I also don't want to obviously rely on someone to make me get there. But I'm just saying that I want to be surrounded by those people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. And I think the last time we talked about this, I was like, that's why I love you because you're the one I'm chasing, you know? And I think it like echoes previous conversations we've had before where I always feel a desire to identify like a mentor in a space or someone who I can turn to, and feel like there is guidance or there is like a plan that is beyond me. There's like a road that goes beyond what I know, and I don't have to walk it alone because there's someone who's walked this road before, and now I can walk it with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like that concept of the 33%, or like 33% of the people that you surround yourself with that should be like above you or ahead of you. 33% should be like below you that you're helping, and 33% should be like at your level, who you guys are both sort of, at the same stage.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, like you in your first episode, you're talking about mentorship. So you have like that sort of, someone that you're chasing, or like someone who's older than you, more experienced.
Yeah.
And we're also in spaces where we mentor other people who are like behind us, and we're teaching them. And I feel like for me, that's the part where I'm missing, is like my peers. Because again, a lot of my friends who are around my age don't really necessarily are trying to build something. Like,
Yeah.
I think at least half of my podcast guests are those types of people I'm referring to, but I don't hang out with them by volume, right? I think most of my friends are just kind of like, yeah, we're friends, we have fun and all this other stuff. But it's like, but for me, I feel like I'm the odd one out, that I'm always like ambitious and trying to do something.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's just a long reflection I've been having of like, okay, I know now that I'm by myself a lot, now what I really want and what I want to go towards. And the time will be right soon enough, but that's something I've been pondering deeply and frequently, at least in the last couple of months.
Big things to think about, big questions.
A lot of projects. So I guess this reflection has helped me, because I'm excited and reinvigorated to get these thoughts and thoughts and writing into like vocally out there on this recording. Because like thinking about the future and planning and like vision, like being creating a vision for myself is always exciting to me. That's like one of my Strengths Finder 2.0. Have you ever taken that? Did we talk about this? We did,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I have mine on my board, but it's like futuristic, significance, maximizer, focus, and communication. Those I've aligned with ever since I took that test initially, like in 2016. And so I'm like, okay, I am a big like focus, maximizer, futuristic person. And yeah, communication. Yeah, recommend anyone take StrengthsFinder. It worked out for me, I guess. It's like a
Yeah.
horoscope, but in a different capacity.
It's like your MBTI, but sort of.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I find that it's even better than MBTI, or even like the Ocean personality tests, right? I feel like those are a little bit more. useful for me personally. It's Big Five, but it's the ocean's the acronym, like openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism or neurotic or whatever. I feel like that one, that personality test is usually noted to be one of the more accurate ones, and I think I mostly agree. Whereas MBTI, it's like popular, but some people don't feel like it's a good
Yeah.
representation.
And I took the Strengths Finder test 4 times to my knowledge.
Did they
Just because
change?
for the first three it did not. So I took it in 2010, 2012, and 2015 at first. Because being at UCI, that's when like they would give it to staff for free. So
Mm.
every chance I got, I took it.
So
And
those were consistent.
for the most part, it stayed the same. I was always number one woo. And then
Yeah.
like the others would like 2 and 3 would swap, and then 4 and 5 would swap, and then like it would go back, something like that. I took it again in 2017 when work paid for it, and my top five are completely different. And I was like, oh, that's wild.
Do you think it was accurate? Like the change was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I've changed somehow. Or do you think it was not?
I think at the time I thought it was accurate because I was like, well, I definitely don't woo as much anymore. Because at that point in my life, I think winning others over had been deprioritized just because my goal was no longer just to win others over, it was to get other things. And sometimes winning others over was like a means to an end, but that was a significant shift from when I was entering college and winning others over was the end. Like, I just want people to love me.
Mm. Wait, so do you know what your current one is now?
I
Or the
don't.
most recent one?
Um, man, I don't remember what it was. I think I noted it down somewhere, but I'll
It's for
forget
sure
it.
not Woo then, you're saying.
Definitely not Woo. That
Gotcha.
one fell off the top five real quick.
You don't think you're Woo though? Like now?
I think it might be close to the top five, but I don't think it would be top five. And I think part of that reason is because at this point in my life now, I feel like I know the moves to be able to like, communicate with people and to be able to address like emotional needs in instances in which that's necessary, but it's not something I turn to as one of the things that I want to practice all the time.
Okay,
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, it's like I built the skill out of need to make sure that I was like taking care of the folks around me, but it's not the skill that I like have closest in reach.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I would much rather Jira board something than sit down with someone and like therapize them. But if I need to, I can.
Mm. So it's yeah, not top five, and then not as important as it is as it was before, but
Yeah,
still there.
yeah, that's how
Nice.
I would go about it. But I'll definitely retake this test and I'll let you know. I want to know
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever retake it because I'm like, okay, I'm good with my top five because I think it still aligns, but whatever. Maybe I'm, I'd be happy to hear that I'm consistent. I think part of me would be sad if it changed because I'm like, great, now I gotta reshape my identity of how I see myself, but
Hmm.
I think it's still the same. Cool. Okay, we are at like the almost 2.5 hour mark. Wow, this is
Hey.
double the length of any other podcast I've. Well, actually, aside from my Cabo Modern reunion one, that was straight 2 hours, but this one was like 2.5 almost. So
Hey.
yeah, that's exciting. Nice. Well, this is the type of format that I've always wanted to do, so it's kind of nice to have less constraints.
Hmm.
I want to wrap it up soon, but did you have any other last minute topics you want to bring up and or takeaways?
Ooh, so many takeaways.
I mean, I'll summarize the takeaways too, but if you had last like thoughts that we haven't already covered that you want to just throw out there or give people something to like chew on and think about.
I guess one last thing that I just remembered is one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is something my vocal coach brought up to me, but there's this concept of like fake it till you make it. And he clocked me for it this past week where he was saying like, I know we've been working at this for a number of years now, and I know you want to get where I want you to get to, so we're aligned to there, but for some reason you're just not getting there. Like you're putting in the work, you have the desire, the results just don't show. And we were talking about it and we boiled it down to a question of self-confidence. And he's like, I think what it is when it comes to engaging with like this vulnerable aspect of your artistry, you become so self-conscious that you lose touch with like all the training that we've done, with all of your intention, with all of your purpose and all of the work that you've put in, and you lose all that because of self-confidence and like the question around your self-confidence. And so for me, the thing I've been pondering is like, how do we get through that? Like, or how do I get through that? It's like, no matter how much studying I've done, no matter how much work I've put in, no matter how much experience I have, if the question of self-confidence or if there's doubt and I lose touch to all of that, then like, what's the point? How can I still hang on to all the things I've worked to build when I start feeling doubt? Or on the other end, how do I build myself up or build up my self-confidence enough so that those questions don't crop up?
Hmm.
If you have answers, let me know.
So that was like a just to throw it out there to for other people to think about too.
Yeah, the my last pondering deep thought. If anybody wants to convo
Chime in.
or yeah, please feel free. I'm open to whatever folks have to say.
Yeah. In that book I referenced, the 101 essays, there was a chapter on was it like self-esteem, if I'm not
Mhm.
getting the wording correctly, or if I'm not getting it incorrect. Self-esteem is comprised of two things, self-efficacy and self-respect. Or maybe it's one of maybe it's switched around. Maybe self-respect, there's a self-efficacy, self-esteem. I don't know. It's one of those. But I know self-efficacy was one of the combinations, right?
Mhm.
And so it's saying that let's say self-esteem is the thing, right? Like how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
It is a combination of self-efficacy, which is your confidence in being able to do something, and then your self-respect, which is like how you what feel about yourself, right? Like how
Yeah.
much you respect yourself. And so that's the two elements of self-esteem. And it made me think about that. It's like, okay, if you feel like you have low self-esteem, maybe you're missing one or two of those things, or
Mhm.
maybe it's lower than it needs to be in order to improve that. So I thought that was interesting that I was thinking about as well. So I don't know if that helps anyone else listening to that, but thought it was insightful. Again, that was one of like point one out of 20 points of one chapter of 100. I was like, God damn.
I just remembered that I did buy that book, so I was like
Yeah.
looking over on this shelf to see if I
Like
had
the
it.
physical book?
Yeah,
I
but
thought it
I
was
think
new, but oh, okay. It's not a recent book?
it might be, but I also recently went to Barnes and Nobles.
Gotcha. Okay, maybe you did see it. Yeah, because Blessy recommended it to me, and also I heard it on a podcast. So then I was
Hmm.
like, all right, I'll just put it on my wish list, and then I picked it up because I had time. But now I'm like, oh damn, mistake. No, it was a good read. It's just very time consuming to go through, and I take notes, so that's why it takes
Yeah.
me so long.
It might be on the shelf behind me instead of the one over here beside me.
Your shelf of a bunch of books.
Yeah, my bookshelf.
I aspire to have a bookshelf one day, but once I have a space to get books, then I'll rebuy all the books that are most important to me, I guess.
That's a smart move because a number of these books do not matter to me.
Yeah. Plus, I don't have the space, so I was like, what's the point of buying books if I don't have the space for it? It's just taking up space.
I was the opposite. This bookshelf is built into the wall, so I was like, I have so much space, I need
But
to
you need
fill.
to fill it.
Yeah, I just ended up buying too many books.
Okay, well, I think that should be a good place to end this since free flowing format, unlimited time, don't really know when to end it. I'm sure we could talk for hours, of course, but
Yeah.
let's wrap this up. I feel like for the audience, maybe this episode you never get this far, and maybe this is only meaningful to us too. But if you stuck around to the end, congratulations and thanks for being here. Hopefully, our musings and reflections have been useful to you, or at least just fun to listen to. You know, it's a weird thing too, just as an aside. I've gotten feedback that people like to watch the YouTube videos, right, of my podcast, but I'm like, no, do the audio. Like my intention for this podcast was always to be only audio. The
Yeah.
only reason why I did video is because I know I gotta throw up some like short form, but I would prefer people to just consume the audio. Like, go listen to this when you're driving or working out, or maybe no one drives and works out. I don't know, but like, don't sit at a computer and watch this. Like, that's not how I intend my audience to. I want the audience members who are like doing something to like listen to it and then like
Yeah.
absorb it. I'm like, oh, I like that episode because that's what I do. I listen to podcasts at the gym. I don't do anything else I don't do music. But so, anyways, if you got this far, I encourage you listen to the audio. The videos will be up and it's cool and everything, but Like, I would want this podcast to be something you can do while you do other things and just digest it at your own pace. Because it's obviously long form. This isn't a short form 10-minute podcast, right? Like, it's the opposite. I want you to take your time and, absorb it slowly. So, yes, that is my ask for the audience. But otherwise, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here again, for making it past this 2.5 hour episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. More to come. My season 6 is almost exclusively. No, that's not true. At least half of them are going to be remote recordings, so I'm excited for that. We still have some people who want to be in person and they can be in person, but I think this is the first season that's going to be um like hybrid, so I'm excited for that. Thank you guys for being here. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave us love in the comments wherever you're consuming this. If it's on YouTube, I don't want you to be there, but if you're there, that's fine. Leave us love anyways. And a reminder to always be kind to other people, especially yourself. And remember that you can always learn something from someone if you take the time to listen. So thanks for being here. Insert applause.